Hey guys, this is Lauren Babic, and you are listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
One, two, three, four. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
There we go. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Are you down in Nashville?
I am, yeah.
So Nashville by way of Canada. Is that what I read?
By way of Toronto, Canada, yeah.
What's it like? I love Nashville. What's it like today down there? Is it nice? Feel cold?
It's not. It's actually been pretty warm, so I can't complain. Definitely better than Toronto weather.
Yeah, I imagine so. I spent a little
sure.
time down there many years ago. I love that city.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool down here.
Did you go down there for the music scene or just because?
Yeah, mostly for like songwriting and recording because I have a lot of friends down here and producers that I've already worked with, so it kind of made the most sense.
Right.
So, yeah.
Is there a metal scene down there?
There is. I think it's growing. I mean, there's this little venue called The End, and I feel like they have like hardcore shows there and metalcore shows, and when I came here, every day I find like a new person who's in metal that already lives here. So I feel like,
oh, really?
yeah, I feel like that niche is growing. So it feels good to know that I came to a place where it's like on the up, which is cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. So let's talk about the release. I guess it comes out tomorrow, right?
It does. We are on the eve of.
So too much and never enough. How do you feel about? How excited are you? Like the day before? Stoked?
I'm stoked. I'm nervous. I'm, nauseous about it, but like happy about it. I'm really excited.
What's been the initial response to it so far? Well, let me stop for 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what I think. I put this record in, have no idea your past and any of the stuff you've done before. Kind of why I like doing this show, right? Because I get to meet a lot of people, not only we talk to, bands I've heard of, but lots of people I haven't. I love this. This is really yeah, I really dig
Thank you
this record.
so much. Thank you.
And I think it starts off just killer. I'm trying to think let me look at my little cheat sheet here. The first tune is probably my favorite, Sanctuary.
Thank you.
It just sucked you right in. I know that wasn't one of the singles, but what's been now I'll get to my other question. What's been the response to like the other stuff that's been released?
Yeah, I mean, with my past and all these different projects I've been a part of for like over the course of 15 years, I think people are really excited about me taking this step towards like solo music and releasing some originals because I've done so many covers up until now and had music with like my bands and those projects. So it's been really cool to see me like kind of using that wisdom and all that knowledge that I've like gained up until now and giving like the listeners that I have something that I can like really call my own and something that is like my baby. And people have been so excited about it and seeing like I try to keep people on their toes. Like I don't really stay within the confines of any like genre. So it's been cool to give them like Let It Die, which was the leading single, which was kind of very familiar to them already. Something that that it's kind of like the gateway. Like, okay, guys, I'm here. This is something you've heard a little bit of before. You're very familiar with it. It's not going to scare you. And then the second single with Breathe You In, which was very, very on the pop side, very different than what I've done up until now. Kind of like this Y2K girly thing. And everyone was like, this is so cool. And once people really latched onto Breathe You In, I was like, okay, I think we kind of set people up for what to expect, which is the unexpected.
That's good. Was it hard to step out from doing all your other projects and being part of groups to doing your own thing?
No, I think because of just like how the dominoes fell, like after the pandemic, like things really changed for me personally, and the bands that I'm in, those dynamics really changed post pandemic because it flipped the music industry on its head, and my band members had to decide like, hey, are we gonna sink or are we gonna swim? And they found their own paths, and so it kind of happened naturally. Like everyone is doing their own thing, and I was like, okay, you know what? I think it's time to do mine. And it was just the time was right for it.
You spoke about these post-pandemic. It's been the music business has totally changed, right? How have you
Oh,
found your way in this? I mean, it's difficult.
it is difficult. I was one of the lucky ones because going into the pandemic in 2020, my band Red Handed Denial, we had the entire year lined up with tours. And we had just we were dropping an album, and we had like songs ready. We were about to go out, and all of a sudden everything shut down. And I think with Red Handed, it was a really hard time. And I was like, okay, what can I do? Okay, I'm going to put out a couple covers on YouTube. Everyone's at home, see what happens. And I posted it on TikTok, which was really new at the time. It had just become a platform. And I posted a clip of my cover Lovely, and I thought nothing of it. Came back, and people are like, Lauren, I think something's happening. Something's going viral here. And I got really lucky with the pandemic because my covers just gave me this opportunity to have a platform and this massive audience that I never thought I would have otherwise. So coming out of the pandemic, I was able to garner this like online community, and now after the pandemic, I've been able to do 3 tours in the US and also 1 tour in the UK and Europe as myself, and it was like something that I really never thought was possible. So I got really lucky out of the pandemic in that way.
I think, and I've said this before on the show, maybe not in a while, but I think as shitty as everything was and as messed up as, that whole thing was, I think it gave the artistic community, maybe not just music, but art in general, a way to sort of introspect and refine themselves. And I think what you were seeing right after it and into maybe even following into now is like a sort of artistic renaissance, right? Because everybody had time to sit
Yes.
and refine and learn their gear more and learn you just write, and you couldn't go anywhere. So that's what people did. And I think the people that took it seriously are experiencing some sort of like artistic renaissance. And it could go to art and literature and everything, right?
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did a lot of self-discovery in the time, whatever art medium they latched to. And I think also people online created these communities of like-mindedness, and coming out of it, I feel like live music now has come back with a vengeance.
But that's a two-edged sword, though, right? Because venues are flooding.
Venues are just like swamped, and now like this whole Ticketmaster thing where now you can't get a ticket for under $300. It's come back with like this massive vengeance. So I think there's a lot of like equilibrium that has to happen in the live scene, but it is nice to see even the mainstream latching onto these big metal shows now, and I think rock is coming back, or it's back. Like I feel like that has really come back with a vengeance, so it's nice to see.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with Gene Simmons more with his rock is dead comments all the time, because I very much agree with you. It's definitely back with a vengeance.
It is back. And now you see artists like even these big pop artists now like advocating for rock and roll and metal, like Lady Gaga and Olivia Rodrigo and Demi Lovato. Like they are performing heavy versions of their songs, and that's so sick to see. And I think they've set this like, hey guys, like rock is cool again and rock is back. So it's cool to see like even bands like Sleep Token play like
Oh my
arenas now.
God, they
Like
sold out their whole U.S. tour
I know it's crazy, and
in arenas.
it's incredible to see. And I think we're gonna see some really cool stuff really soon with rising bands, and especially women who are taking the heavy music scene by storm as well. Like it's
Yes,
cool to see. So we're so back. Like we're so back.
Um, I think it's also more popular and maybe more relevant too because heavier stuff is more cathartic and it helps you get through the harder times, right? And you can't be in any more difficult times than we are in right now. And I think it's very good outlet for not only the artists, it's very cathartic, I'm sure, for the artists as well, but for the fans and the audience. And it's just a way to blow off that steam and get through what
Yeah.
we're all collectively going through, right?
Yeah, I think I mean, in so many different ways, there's so many things happening right now, and it feels like every single day we hear and see something new, and it's like, what can we do as like just civilians and the everyday person? And I think metal and heavy music is a beautiful way to sort of like emotionally have an outlet and just a place to decompress and just escape for a bit too. And it's really great for that.
When you're writing, songs for you, are you writing with a message for your fans, like a takeaway?
I always try and write from my own experience because I think a shared human experience is very powerful. So when I write songs, it's always from my heart, and I feel like it's always going to give something more authentic that way. And if people connect to it in whatever way they do, I think it's that much more real. So if I have an intention of like, hey, I'm going to write about this, but maybe it hasn't been a personal experience, I feel like I'm not going to be as authentic as I could be. So I always try and write from a very real place, if that makes sense.
So yeah, it does. And then with that in mind, then do you ever feel like you've put too much of yourself into a song? You're too vulnerable, or is that the point?
I think that's the point. I think that was very scary for me for a while. Like I used to write very conceptually, and I used to have I used to write albums that were concept albums that it was almost like me writing a novel. And I used to do a lot of that kind of work with Right-Handed Denial, and Crazy 88 is literally a concept band, and we write based on perspectives of film and movies. So I've definitely had that time to do that. But I started coming out of that shell, I think, when Red Handed released I'd Rather Be Asleep. And it was kind of like my personal experiences with mental health during the pandemic and finding my way through that. And it was really scary for like to put that out in the world and to like basically put your heart on your sleeve for the public. But I think it helped so many people, and I saw that, and I think it became less scary once I knew like, hey, this someone could connect to this and it could really help them. So
And I think when you cross that boundary, and again, I'm not a writer, but when you cross that sort of boundary where you don't care anymore and you're just going to be honest, I think it resonates with people as well, right? It's super
yeah,
organic and it's real, and it's not just like you said, concept record about a film or whatever.
yeah, it's
You can
very real,
identify.
and also it was very freeing for me as well, like to be able to just share those things. It's almost like you rip a page from your journal kind of thing, and you just get it out there, and it's just this big release for me. So I found myself feeling like really fulfilled as a songwriter and an artist. So it was really good for me as well.
Excellent. I saw you worked with, I'm trying to hold on one second. Bear with me. What's his name? Adam Bentley and Lee
Yeah.
Albert. Definitely an Arthur's fan. My God, am I a Devil Wears Prada fan? And what was it like working with those kind of or that kind of caliber producers and people?
Yeah, and I've actually known Lee and Adam for a really, really long time, and we've all kind of grown together in this scene. Like I've been working with Lee since before, like since 2018. So
Okay.
he's worked on a lot of my covers with me, and he always kind of found he knows exactly what I like, and he's really good at like just knowing, and he's an amazing guitarist as well, so he's like a riff maker. And bringing Adam in, he's worked on a couple things for my bands in the past as well. And I find now, especially with modern rock and modern metal, like Adam has this way of making things a little bit warmer in his mixes,
Mhm.
and a little bit less synthetic sounding. And I wanted that sound, a little bit more room, a little bit more breath. And Adam worked on the new Pliny stuff, and Pliny's one of my favorite progressive artists from Australia. And I was like, I want that. I want a little bit of that realness, that that warmth that we used to get when we used to use real amps and stuff. And so Adam just breathed life into these four songs in that way and made them a little bit more pissed off because Adam's guitar work and his amping is just like insane. So it's kind of like a dream team of both their wheelhouses, all crammed into one project. So it was really, really great to work with them. They're awesome.
Nice. So 4 songs on this EP. Were there others that you had to choose from, or did you just write these 4?
No, it was these four.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's really surprising to hear because like the kind of traditional way is like you write a bunch of songs and then
Right.
you have like 30 or 40 and then you pick like the best ones. So the way I've kind of like lived is like I hold my songs very close to my heart, and I always want to make sure that they can see the light and be shared. So this one was like, okay, we have these 4 songs, let's make them the best they can be. And we did that, and I'm really, really proud of what we achieved with just having these 4. Because I had these little like ideas, like, okay, I want Sanctuary to be like this heavy but also very pretty song. I want Breathe You In to be this like pop, fierce, girly thing. And then I
Right.
want I'm Bored to be like an ignorant deathcore song. So there was like these ideas I had for each song, and we just went with it and we rolled with it and we saw them right to the end. And I think that's a very unconventional way of doing things, but yeah, it was just those 4, which is super fun.
That's great. What's the plan to
Yeah.
take this on the road? This version of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So the goal is later this year, I want to do a few like temperature check shows in select US cities just to like shake the cobwebs off and dial in the live show for my solo stuff. And the plan is to we're trying to solidify a booking agent, and we're going to take this. I want to take this like as far as I can go and really push for like the festivals and some support tours.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely do some smaller, like very punk rock shows later this year in the fall, in a few cities in the US just to like dial it in and then
Yeah.
really just go for
I
it.
think you need a couple good hardcore house shows,
Yeah.
dirty, small little places that kind of
Exactly.
get the vibe going.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want to play like, 100 caps, just sell it out, cash at the door and just rip it because I think
Right.
those kind of
Sweaty, hot.
shows. Yeah, and fans I think are craving that right now. Like we're so used to do like right now the arena shows are just huge, and that's kind of been the precedent for a lot of bands right now. So I think ripping some really small gigs would be fun for me because those are my favorite, and just really refreshing for some of the core, like some of my core fans. I think they'll really
Right.
like that. Just to get a chance to see the beginning of all this and in its infancy give them that chance to like really
Yeah.
have that intimate live experience. So we're gonna do that.
And get on board at the ground level.
Exactly. We're gonna do that. So I'm thinking like early fall, like September, October. We're gonna set that up.
Okay. If
Yeah.
fans want to find you, how can they do so?
All the places of social media and all the streaming apps that we listen to now, like Spotify, Apple Music. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and also Discord as well. So I'm on Discord a lot. I have my own server, so we're in there, and everyone's chatting in
Of
there.
course.
So yeah.
Excellent. So, if you don't mind, I want to switch gears here for a second. The last part of every interview, I kind of do these weird, ridiculous questions, have nothing to do with Lauren
Yeah.
Babic, have nothing to do with metal, but they do really well on the shorts and the 30-second,
Nice.
1 minute clip.
Okay.
So, if you're game for it,
I am
let me know.
game.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, yes, I think it is because
It
you can
has to
put
be, right?
it is because it's between just because a hot dog bun is one bun, you're basically discounting Philly cheesesteaks, and you could put anything on a hot dog. It's not just mustard
Right.
or just ketchup.
Right.
You can put anything you want. The
Chili,
world is
whatever.
yours.
Yes.
So yes, I think a hot dog is in fact a sandwich.
Is cereal a soup?
Yes, because some soups are cold.
Yes. Wow, we're on the same wavelength.
I love it.
That's beautiful. I mean, we argue this every time I do an interview. We argue this in the last 5 minutes, and most people are the opposite of both of our answers. They can't get on board with it. But
I think it's just splitting hairs at that point. I think cereal is just a word to define like, hey, you eat this in the morning or for breakfast. But I think technically cereal can be soup, classified
Okay.
as soup. Yeah.
are we still good?
Yes.
What mythical creature, if it existed, could solve the world's problems?
Ooh, a mystical creature. That's really tough. I think a genie could become a slippery slope, but obviously a genie could grant, it could solve poverty, it could end wars, it could stop famine.
Right.
I think a genie, however, if a genie's lamp is in the wrong hands, it could go the other way. So maybe take that as you may. I think a genie could solve but also destroy, depending on who wields the lamp. If that makes sense.
Yeah. You good for a couple more?
Yeah.
Describe the color yellow to somebody who's colorblind.
Oh, I think yellow as a concept is happy. It is a happy color. It is very spring. It's very new season, new life kind of thing. Like a baby chick. It's just it's happiness, I think. That's what I would say.
Okay. What 3 things could you purchase that would make the cashier the most uncomfortable?
I guess it would depend what kind of like who is the cashier.
All right,
Because
so if you want me to define it?
yeah, like who is the cashier? Like what does the cashier look like?
All right, I'm going with a 16-year-old, pimply faced boy.
Ooh,
High school
okay.
kid.
If it's a boy and it's a high school kid, you just have to show up to the cashier with like tampons, maybe like some sort of skincare or like pimple patches or like Neutrogena and like a chocolate bar. I think that's like or like Midol, or condoms. That would be like just to completely embarrass the 16-year-old high schooler.
All right, I know I said 2 more, but now I've got 2 more.
Okay.
Oh, are we okay with those?
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with anybody from the past, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Easy. Freddie Mercury. I would 100% want to talk with Freddie Mercury because I think he left this world way too soon. And I think there are just so many things, if Freddie was still alive today, that he would have to say. And I just, and he just seems like such an enigmatic person. And I would just love to just sit down with him and hear him talk, because I feel like he had so many experiences that we still will never know about. And he's just been such a pillar of inspiration for me as an artist. So I would pick Freddie Mercury.
So for me, it would be Randy Rhoads for sure, just because that was, my scene where I grew up. But on a side note, I got really lucky when I was graduated high school. And I know you didn't ask for my story, but it's kind of ties into what you just said. And my mom decided to take us to London for like a graduation, whatever. And so we went. I was a kid, right? So I'm 17. I graduated early. I didn't realize that the Live Aid was it Live Aid? Yeah. I didn't realize that Live Aid was also in London. And we ended up staying in this weird this weird hotel by the parking lot. And they were rehearsing for the show. We got there the day before. And I walked over and the parking guy said, "Hey, my wife and I can't go. We've got 2 tickets. I'll give them to you guys for cost." So we bought, my sister and I, 17, she's whatever, 15, 16. We bought tickets at the gate and went back the next damn day. And I was 20 feet from his biggest performance, right in the front. Where it had the fire hoses and everything. We were just sitting right there. Yes. True story.
That's insane. Like, that is a once in a lifetime story, I think.
It just
like right place, right time.
Planets aligned, and my mom had no idea. She was just trying to do something nice. She always wanted to go there, and we kind of just went, and it all just lined up. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm at Live Aid.
That's so cool. That is like a once in a lifetime performance too. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's the one. The
amazing
whole movie
story
was based on, right? So it's kind of weird. I'm like, shit, I was right there.
That's crazy. That's so cool.
All right, last one. You're on a deserted island. You can take 3 records with you for the rest of your life. What are they?
Oh, man. I would take... Well, they better be long records. That's for sure.
Right.
I mean, I think I would take Michael Jackson Thriller. I would take Tesseract Altered State. And... Ooh. That's really... That's so hard.
Yeah.
And let's just go with a pop thing. Let's say Lady Gaga, The Fame Monster. I think we have to cover some bases so that we don't get bored. So
right.
we have our pop, we have our progressive metal, and we have our classic R&B pop. So,
and I think for me it's probably Diary of a Madman, because that's the first record that set my path. But Operation Mindcrime, definitely the first one is just unbelievable. Even to this day, I can just listen to it probably on repeat for the rest of life. And then if we're going to go with your example of something poppy, I really like Faith.
Amazing.
I think that record is great. Yeah.
You got to have some versatility if you're stuck on a desert island, because I think if I were to just choose 3 metal albums, it would be and I can't choose any Linkin Park because I'll just sit there and cry all day. Right. So I got to have some versatility.
Well, Lauren, I appreciate you playing along. I know I kind of took you down an odd path, but
I love it. It's all good.
You were a good sport. Lauren, thank you so much. I really do dig the record. Good luck tomorrow, and I'll have this up next week, so maybe it'll help out a little bit.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Be well. Have a good day.
You too.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.